All praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the nation of Israel. These Christians try and act as though, right? I've noticed, man, these Christians try and act as though Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68 is the only scripture that we use to try and or the only thing that we can use to try and prove that we're the Israelites, man. They try and act like that's the only thing we can use or the only thing that we can go to try and use. And then they like to try and run around and try and go to the book of Josephus and mention something that happened in that, right? But they can't prove that those people, that event that took place didn't happen to us. They can't prove that it wasn't us that happened to. So even if they try and say, oh, that's when it was fulfilled, right? And it was only fulfilled once, they can't prove that that wasn't us. Neither can they prove that it was those other people that are trying to claim that they're the chosen, right? They can't do that. But let me read this scripture anyway. Deuteronomy chapter 28 in verse 68. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And they shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now, let's say the thing in Josephus, right? That we 100% know all the facts about that event, right? And it happened to the Israelites, right? Well, surely if you've got a thinking mind and you see another group of people thousands plus years later go into slavery again in ships, right? Surely you'd think, hang on, why is this happening to this people? Just like we read about it happening back then. Why is this happening? Surely you would think, hang on, these people might be Israelites. Considering if you saw people when the Edomites, man, was over by the Native Americans in the land of America, what was it that made them say that the Israelites, that the Native Americans are Israelites? Wasn't it that they saw the Native Americans doing things that the Israelites would be doing? So if they was doing things that the Israelites would be doing, that's a sign that they're the Israelites, because it's naturally in them. Just like how if a group of people are going through the curses that are written in the Bible, that was told us in the scriptures and through prophecy that was going to be upon the Israelites, man. So you've got everyone trying to say, oh, these curses are on everyone. No, they're not. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48. Therefore shall I serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee. Now, if you go on the internet and you type in yoke of iron, what are you going to see, man? You're going to see a so-called black man with a yoke of iron on his neck. You're going to see that. And who is it that has to go to the enemy for the want of all things? We don't like these Edomites. Yet we have to buy our car from an Edomite. We have to buy our house. If we have a house, if we rent a house, an apartment or whatever, you have to go to an Edomite for that. The Edomite is the one that gives you your food source. But that's our number one arch nemesis in the whole world from the beginning of the womb, man. So how can people try and say that the only thing that we can go to, or try and make out like the only thing that we can go to try and prove that we're the Israelites is the curses, or is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68, when there's many things, man. And I'm going to show one right now. Man. The women of our nation are a proof that we're the Israelites. Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 16, moreover, Yahweh saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty. Now, the Israelite woman is the most proud woman on the earth, man. And she was the inventor of body positivity before that even was considered a term, man. When she used to be big as hell, fat as hell, right? 300 pounds, built like Rikishi, right? Built like Mark Henry, right? Big, just big and wide, man. Big Mama, big. That's where Big Mama's House and all these type of movies got the idea from, man. Rasputia, men wearing dresses ain't righteous. But the reason why they was even able to come up with them movies and act those roles is because they was mocking the Israelite woman, man. And how proud she is, man. Proud as hell. And the spirit of the Lord is on you, women, to rebuke her on every day, man. That's what it seems to be, man. On a every day, there's a video, at least one video made by an Israelite telling you women to fix up, man. And that's because the spirit of the Lord is charging up so that when all hell breaks loose, you women are going to be paying, man. And the spirit of the world is even against you women, man. You got all these podcasts and all this talking, all this red pill manosphere, all these things where they're pointing out. In particular, it's not mainly Israelite men, and the main people that their conversation topics are about is the Israelite woman. Moreover, Yahweh saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks, and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Now, that's the Israelite woman, man. Proud as hell. She thinks she's a queen, you know? So that right there just is a proof, but it continues on. Verse 17, therefore Yahweh will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh will discover their secret parts. Now, these Israelite women be putting relaxer in their hair, and they leave it in too long, scabs to the scalp, man. That's one of the ways. But other ways is through all these other mad hair products that they be putting in their hair. And if you go on the internet, you will find pictures of this for proof. You will see it, man. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. But that's the thing with you Christians, man, and all you scoffers. You don't want to look it up, because then when you see it, then you start to get scared, man. And you realize, oh, damn, it's true. So then you'll try and find one case where there might be a Caucasian woman with a scab on her head. And then you say, see, everyone gets scabs. No. It says that the Israelites is going to be going through this, man. So obviously, if there is certain cases of another nation having it, some of those people are going to be Israelites. And that's like with the woolly hair thing, man. These people say, oh, have you never seen a Caucasian person with woolly hair? As if to say, okay, so every single 100% of so-called Negroes have curly, woolly hair, right? Woolly textured hair. But 10% of Edomites or 10% of Filipinos or something like that might have woolly hair. So it could be talking about anybody. Idiots, man. You people are stupid. Verse 17 again. Therefore Yahweh will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh will discover their secret parts. In that day Yahweh will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cords and their round ties like the moon, the chains and the bracelets, the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles and the wimples, and the crisping pins, the glasses, and the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well set hair, boldness. Now, everybody knows, man. Anybody that's ever dated a so-called black woman, anybody that's got a so-called black mother, right, sister, cousin, niece, niece, anyone that's close to contact with them, man, they'll know that they're bold, man, and that their hair don't grow, and that they used to wonder when you'd be younger or whatever. They used to wonder, why did the men's hair grow faster than the women's? And they'd be seeing Snoop Dogg getting his hair cornrowed and that, and they'd be seeing Ludacris in the music videos, and they'd be wondering why their hair. They'd be seeing Bow Wow, right? They'd be wondering why their hair don't grow that length, and they'd be wondering it, man. And they'd be putting all manner of things in their hair, spending 4 hours, man, sitting down for 4 or 5 hours straight to get weave put in, man. 4 or 5 hours straight, facts. And I've seen it with my own eyes, man. I've seen that. I've seen the whole trial that the Israelite woman goes through to try and make herself look like she's got long hair, man. I've seen it. So you people ain't gonna tell me that this ain't on the Israelite woman. You people ain't gonna tell me that the reason why we're seeing this stuff happen, why we see the so-called black woman in the world without hair, isn't because of what it says right here in these scriptures. We're not gonna believe what you say, man, because it's not the women that are calling themselves the chosen in the land of Israel. They don't have to go through this. They don't have to go through that, man. In fact, they'll have a full head of hair on their head, and then they'll buy a wig that looks like exactly the same hair that they've got underneath the wig. The Israelite woman, the so-called Negro woman, don't do that, man. She don't do that. And the reason why that plague and that curse is on her more than any other woman is because she comes from one of the so-called Negro woman will be one of ones that come from the tribe of Judah, which is the head tribe, man. So the head tribe is going to be catching the worst hell. The head tribe is going to be catching the worst hell, man. They'll be the ones that are facing that curse the worst, man. And if it was around Latinos and Native American women enough, I bet we'd see that stuff's on them too, in part. I bet we would see that, man. I bet we would see that. But these Christians, they're disgusting, man. They try and make out as though the only thing that we can use to prove that we're the Israelites is Deuteronomy 28 and 68. But they haven't. When have the people that are in the land of Israel right now used any of the curses to say that they're the chosen? When have they did that? Never once have they ever said that. They've never once said, you know what, this proves that we're Israelites, and then started reading the curses. This is Exodus chapter 4 and verse 4. And Yahweh said unto Moses, put forth thine hand and take it back, and take it back, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand, that they might believe that Yahweh power of their fathers, the power of Abraham, the power of Isaac, and the power of Jacob have appeared unto thee. And Yahweh said furthermore unto him, put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put forth his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, it was leprous as snow. So that would be a dark-skinned person putting their hand in, right, and taking their hand out, and now he's pale. Simple as that. Verse 7, and he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it turned again as his other flesh. So that means that Moses would have been a dark-skinned man, which would have mean that the Israelites were dark-skinned men, and Joseph was living among the Egyptians to the point where his own brothers thought he was an Egyptian because they look the same. They've got a similar skin tone, man. They got similar skin tone. But these people are jokers, man. Like, they really think that the only thing that we can go to prove that we're the Israelites is Deuteronomy 28, as if we ain't fulfilling prophecies by saying that we're under the curses and saying that Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68 applies to us, as if that ain't a prophecy, and as if some of us didn't say these things before we even knew about this prophecy, man. Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 1, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all nations with Yahweh thy power have driven thee, right? And thou shalt return unto Yahweh thy power, and shalt, let me read that again, man. Salakia. Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 1, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations with Yahweh thy power have driven thee. So what's that saying? It's saying that you're going to receive the blessing and the curse, and then you're going to call the curses to mind in all the nations that you've been driven. So that means that people would be saying, you know what, Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 68 applies to us. Here's the event that we're saying it applies to. And we don't care if you want to try and go to something in the book of Josephus, because that could have been us too. And that would have been us if it was the Israelites. So don't try and think you can go back 1,000+ years, 2,000+ years to something that happened way back, right? And then say, oh, that was fulfilled already, as if you can prove that that wasn't us. And then when we show something that's also a same event like that, again, but going to a place that we say is spiritually called Egypt, then y'all try and say, oh, nah, I ain't talking about that. Well, why did that happen then? Why did that Atlantic slave trade happen? Why? And according to your Christian doctrine, are the people that did that to those people burning in hell? According to what y'all believe? Because we don't believe in that hell stuff, man. But according to what y'all say, are your ancestors burning in hell then for what they did? Are they? But they don't want to say that. You damn demons, man. They really actually think that the only thing that we can use to say that we're the Israelites is that, but they've got a lot of things that they need to prove about themselves, man, rather than be worrying about what we're saying all the time. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 13, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes was a flame of fire. Now they'll say, see, it says his head was white. No, it's talking about the hair texture, dummy. That's what he's talking about, man. And when you look at sheep's wool, sheep's wool, right? There's many different textures of sheep wool, just like there's many different textures of Negro hair, man. Some have tighter curls, some have looser curls. Some when they grow an afro, it's tight and kinky to comb through. Others it's easier and the comb goes through there smoother, man. We know this. We know this, man, and that's why on the combs that Israelites use, they've got the thin teeth, right? And they got the wider teeth, man, for different textures of hair. Verse 15, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. Now, if you burn anything, it goes darker, man. But they just want to make any excuse to try and say otherwise, man. They want to just use any excuse outside of us being the Israelites, and of course they're gonna do that. But it's annoying, man. Of course they're gonna say these things, but it's annoying because they don't wanna have to pay for what they did, man. They want to think that they can be the demon on the earth, the oppressor on the earth, and then still say that they need salvation. When how can you be the person that owns the aircraft carriers, owns the nuclear missiles, right? Is creating the Revelation 13 and verse 16 technology, right? And somehow you're the oppressed and you need help. How's that work, man? How? Right, when these Edomites run up into that Capitol building, I believe it was called, man, what was they doing? Trying to pretend as though they're oppressed. That was Satan casting out Satan, man. Now let me go to this because these people try and make out as though they're them people in the land of the chosen. Well, how comes they ain't fulfilled this then? Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, come ye and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem, and they shall judge among the nations and to rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Is there war on the earth right now? Yes. There's people getting smoked, man. Right now. There's people getting a red dot on their head, langed through the head, man. Didn't even see it coming. There's people that are getting their legs blown off. And I'm not saying it to mock, but you know what? If Satan's casting out Satan, why would we care, man? Because they don't mind pointing out any so-called black on black crime that they can point out. But then when we point out what they do, then they got a problem all of a sudden, man. And they're always trying to make out like every single thing that we do is a display of how we're savages. But then when they do things, it's always a singular case, man. It's always, no, that's a private case, that one. That's private to him. That's private to him. Not all, not all. But when we do one of us does one thing, that's everyone though. But when they do things, oh, that was just him that did that. I'm not to blame. But then when one Edomite does something good, oh, we all did that. See, we invented this, we invented that. Jokers, man, and they think that we don't see the hypocrisy. But we have to bear that for now until we don't have to bear it no more, man. Now, what else, man? What else can we go to show that in the last days and in the scriptures it says that there was gonna be Edomites in the land, man? Doesn't it say that? Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 5. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea. Who's Idumea, man? Esau, Edom, which have appointed my land into their possession with joy of heart, with the joy of all their heart, and with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Now, what is that saying, man? It's saying that right now, or in the last days, which is right now, that the heathen and all Idumea are going to be in the land, and they're going to have had it they're going to have took the land of Israel for their possession. So is the people that are in the land of Israel right now, are they Idumea or are they Israel? Because the prophecy says that when the Israelites go back into the land, that there's not going to be any more war again. But then there's also a prophecy that speaks about how Idumea and the heathen are going to have the land. Now, if you go over there and if you do research and you see who's ruling in that land, right, you're going to see Ishmaelites over there, right? You're gonna see people talking about some free this is Stein, right? And you're gonna see some people talking about some other things, man. But none of them are the people that the land belongs to, though. But you're gonna see them keep arguing over it, though, and that's because of this prophecy, man. That's because of this prophecy. Verse 6, prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains and to the hills, and to the say unto the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Because over there right now, they're doing madness over there, man. Freaks in the daytime, and freaks come out at night, man. Verse 7, therefore thus saith Yahweh power, I have lifted up mine hand, surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame, and they're going to be exposed, man. And they're getting exposed, but also wars come into that place, man. Wars come into the so-called Middle East, man. The greatest war of all time, man, is coming there. And them people are going to see it, man. But the fact that these people think that the only thing that we can go to try and prove that we are the chosen, that those people claiming they are, ain't, is Deuteronomy 28 verse 68 is a joke. And how comes them people that are claiming to be the chosen have not proved that they are the chosen with any Bible verses that people that claim to be Christians know of? How comes they don't even believe that the Messiah's came yet, man? They still think they're waiting for the Messiah to come. They're still talking about, I'm non-practicing. Then they've got a whole place, Tel Aviv, that's just complete madness. It's an LGB freeze dream, man. It's their dreamland. That's like the America for them. That's their little miniature, damn near their miniature Babylon, man. But Babylon the Great is America, though. I'm just saying, man, to make a point. But these Christians are jokers, man. They really think that the only thing that we can use to prove and to make a case that we're the Israelites is that. They really think that, man. How about the artwork from the 1500s that shows the people of the Bible being dark-skinned? How about that? How about the fact that people was questioning in the 1700s whether the Native Americans are the lost tribes of the children of Israel? How about that? How about the movies that they've made showing the Israelites showing the Negroes to be the Israelites, man? How about this TV show that came out a while back on Amazon Prime called Them, where they blatantly show, man, they're showing the show in episode 9 and in episode 10, 2 episodes called Covenant, man, and they show, right? They literally show, and they speak about the curses, man. When they're punishing some Israelites on the show, they show it, man. And then when the character's talking, when the like spirit demon thing is talking to the one woman, he's saying, you had a covenant and you broke it. This is why all this stuff's happening to you. It literally says it, man. And if brothers don't know what I'm talking about, it's a TV show that was on Amazon Prime, or that is on Amazon Prime, called Them. And for the brothers that are over in the UK, they'll know who I'm talking about when I say this guy. It was the UK rapper that went by the name of Bashi. He's one of the actors of it, man. He's one of the actors on there. And it's episode 9 and episode 10, I believe, are the only 2 episodes that you'd need to watch. Both episodes are called Covenant 1 and Covenant 2. And it shows it blatantly on the show. What about that? But they'll try and say, oh, the only thing that we can use is Deuteronomy 28:68. No, we can use many things, man. We can use the fact that you've lied about history and tried to make out like the only thing we did is swinging on trees in Africa. We can use the fact that over in Ghana and places like Nigeria, people accept that they're the chosen. People accept it, man. So you people that think that the only thing we've got is Deuteronomy 28:68, you are clowns, man. And you don't know nothing, and you haven't did no research yourself. That's why you think that. And the same things that you say to us, for us to prove that we're the Israelites, you ain't gonna say to those those people that are in the land. You ain't gonna say it to them because you're hypocrites, man. So you'll make us expect to pull out 5 forms of ID proof, a flipping genealogy going back to Abraham. You'll want us to have all these things, but all a so-called Caucasian-looking person needs to do is say, "Yeah, I'm one of them," and have a little teapot thing on their head, and then you're gonna say, "Yeah, he is." You ain't gonna ask him to prove it, are you? You ain't gonna laugh when he says he is, because you're all hypocrites, man. And because that sits better with your spirit for them to be the chosen than it does for us to be the chosen, and there's reasoning for that, man. Because you know that you're gonna have to pay then. You know you're gonna have to pay. If we're the chosen, you know there's gonna be a lot to pay for, man. And we are the chosen. So there is gonna be a lot to pay for. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Now, of course, when an Edomite reads this, they're going to say, nah, that's been fulfilled already. Of course, they're going to say that. Because if it hasn't been fulfilled already, then that means it's going to have to be fulfilled on their ass. So, of course, they're going to want every single thing that speaks about judgment for oppressors to have been fulfilled already. And now we're just all on an equal playing field, even though no justice was served for what they did. Of course, they're going to want it to be like that. Of course. You know, verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy heart, from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from thy hard bondage when thou was made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. And this is talking about the king of Babylon the great, man. And say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased. And that's what we're going to be saying to you, Edomites, man. When you're in the position that we're in right now, in fact, when you're in the position that we was in, when we was in them slave ships, man, we're going to take up that proverb against you and say, how's your oppression ceased, man? Yo, how comes you ain't, why ain't you proud no more? Why aren't you asking to speak to the manager, man? What's up, man? How comes you ain't being a Karen? What's wrong, man? You cat got your tongue. We're going to be saying all that, man. We're going to be all that Dave Chappelle, Richard Pryor, Chris Rock, Cat Williams style comedy that they have where they're funny and that, and they're mocking that Eddie Murphy type comedy and jokes. We're going to have all that jokes for you demons, man. We're going to be comedians on your out laughing at you, man. Them big Charlie Murphy laughs, man. From Chappelle show, we're going to be doing all that. And you ain't going to be able to do nothing about it, man. Now, people say, oh, don't be talking like, why shouldn't I say that? Well, it's true. It's the truth, man. It's the truth. That's what they're going to be having to happen to them, man. Verse 5, you have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted and none hindereth. Now, has this already happened? Has this happened already? Because they'll say, yeah, it's happened, man. When then? And then that means that everything should be safe then and secure then, right? Verse 7, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Now, has that happened yet? Because I know I'm part of the earth. I'm part of that whole earth, and I ain't breaking forth into singing. And I know that there's many other Israelites that I see sighing and crying for the abominations, and they're part of this whole earth. And they ain't singing, breaking forth into singing. And even among you Edomites, you ain't breaking forth and singing neither, man. Because you're going to be the people that have to come down in order for people to break forth into singing, man. But they want to try and spend all their time trying to tell us that we ain't the Israelites, right? But whenever sin vocab Malone say who he is according to the Bible, he's got all the mouth in the world, right? He's got all the data. Man knows man's birthdays, their blood type. He knows where when he got what day he was when he was in the world and got baptized. You know what I mean? They know man's bone density levels. They know his BMI, his body fat percentage. This guy knows all these stats, and everyone else knows when he made a book, can get into contact with man's grandchildren and all that. He knows all of this, but what's his nationality according to the Bible, man? How comes he ain't broke that down? And how comes he ain't shown who the Edomites are? According to the Bible, how comes he ain't did all that? He's the damn smoothest, ultimate detective when it comes to everything else, right? Man can find out anything, This geezer seems to be able to find out anything like man's connected to the federal government database. You know what I mean? This guy can get access to anything. Why can't he find out then what the color Messiah was according to the Bible? How comes he don't know that? How comes he don't know who the real Israelites are? How comes he ain't standing firm on who to say, I believe this people represents the 12 tribes of Israel? How comes he can't do all that? He says the 12 tribe sign's false. So how comes he can't break down a real one then and give a real 12 tribe sign? He says that the Hebrew that we speak, Lashawan Kodash, is gassed up and ain't real. So how comes he can't decipher it then? He thinks he's Tom Hanks, Da Vinci Code, right? Can break everything down. But how comes he don't know all of this? How comes he can't break down who the other nations are? He can say who the Hebrew Israelites say the 18 nations are and say this ain't real, right? It's a misconstrued dialogue. But he can't say who it is then. And that's the thing with a person that's a asshole, man. They'll be quick to say what it ain't, right? But they never say what it is. Never. You'll answer a question, they'll laugh at you'll get asked a question. You'll give an answer, they'll laugh at your answer. And then when you ask them, what is the answer then? They don't want to say nothing. They'll say, oh, just do your own research. I'm not exactly sure on what the answer is, but I definitely know 100% with a sure certainty that what you're saying ain't real, huh? You think that we're gonna agree for that? And that's what I mean with these Christians, man. They got all this mouth to try and say about who we are in the Bible, or we ain't that. But their lazy ass only can say, "Well, I'm just Gentiles." That's all they can say. They can't do as much. They haven't did nowhere near as much research to try and find out who they are according to the Bible, as they have to try and find out who we're not according to the Bible. They're jokers, man. Why is it that we're so concrete on saying this? Why is it? Why is it that we're so is it just because we're just trying to steal someone's heritage? Or is it because it's our heritage all along? Because if you look at prophecy, you'll see that the people claiming to be the chosen are at the highest position of the earth right now. But the people that are into the Bible would all agree that these are the end times. So the Israelites shouldn't be in the best position on earth right now. They should become in the best position on earth after the Messiah returns. The Israelites should actually be in the worst position on earth, like how Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are. But you know what, man? I think I've said enough, man. I've said enough on this one, man. I'm gonna end the lesson here. All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Makar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect to the nation of Israel. Shalom.